have it. You ain't going to get it. It's not going to be easier unless we let Jesus take care of that. So I want to be an encouragement today. We're going to talk about couples again. How many enjoyed last week? I enjoyed it because I got to talk about my bride, and it's amazing when I get to talk about her. I think she's over there in the other side playing with the kiddos. Papa Donnie's pizza is smelling awful good. They have this one pizza over there that they're probably going to be making today. I don't know if you'll get a chance to have any of it or not, but they call it the Big Sinner. Biker Church, Jesus, the Big Sinner. Anyway, that is what I think Donnie made it, and I think Danny Jarbo is the one that said and named it. So I don't know if what all it's got on it. I don't know if it makes you sin after you eat it and it messes your belly up. I don't know what it does. So you'll have to ask them. I know that it's got everything on it, and it's probably pretty good right now. But if your kids are over there, they're going to come home today sugared up, fattened up, and wound for sound. So if you're going to sleep today after church, you might as well give that up. You can sleep tomorrow, okay? You may even have to have a day off work or whatever. So we'll just see. But I want to start this morning just by talking a little bit about our relationships. And I know that there's some that believe what I say and some that don't, but we're going to use something today that maybe people don't use a whole lot. But everything I talk about today is going to be hinged off of one scripture in the Bible. And I want to tell you that my relationship with Tracy and with Jesus would not be what it is today if we didn't all work together. So you can't just work with your wife or your husband, your boyfriend or girlfriend, if everything's not right with you in your mind and with Jesus. And I want to talk a little bit about our hearts today, because everything that bubbles up out of our insides is in your heart. And I'm going to talk about fighting a little bit, and I don't want no elbowing, okay? I don't want no eye poking, no throat punching, none of that stuff in church. When y'all get in the car, you can do whatever you want to do, just as long as you're headed out of the parking lot, okay? Because I don't want no crashes or nothing like that. So, guys, if you have a problem, you might put the kid in between you, or maybe somebody sitting beside you so you don't fight. But how many remember today what it was like and how you felt when you fell in love? If you are married and you do not raise your hand, you are in such big trouble. Santa Claus is not coming to see you. Do you remember when you fell in love? Now, I didn't hear any "aw," none of that. So, guys, you must have not done a good job, because if you ask my wife that, she's going to say absolutely. Because she's got the best husband that was in the world. So, sorry. But anyways, I'm sure there are a few here that have been on the other side of the fence that don't want to remember, that's been in a divorce or at least once. And I know that the church doesn't talk about divorce very much because we've all been through it, right? God doesn't like divorce and all the stuff that goes along with it. And we try to find loopholes and all that stuff to get all our ducks in a row, right? So that we feel like that it was okay. Well, it wasn't. God doesn't like divorce. He's not into it. He doesn't like it. And many of you, if you've been divorced or you've been in a relationship that went south, everyone you know, how many don't want to go see their ex, whatever it is? You just don't like that. If you didn't raise your hand, you're lying. At some point. Otherwise you're perfect. And I think there's only one man that was like that. But nobody likes to go and go into that. And there's always ex-in-laws and ex-grandpas and grandmas, and they still love you, but the in-laws don't, and the kids, they favor one or the other, or they work you against each other, and it's just a mess. The Bible didn't say that we should not get a divorce because Jesus wanted us to live in hate the rest of your life. Right? But the problem is we hadn't figured out how to fix that, because it's 10 times easier to fix what you have than to go find a new one. Now think about that. I've been divorced. Tracy's been divorced. Probably most of you didn't know that. Maybe I shouldn't have told you. But anyway, don't tell her. Mom and Dad, I'm sorry. Anyway, it would have been easier for us to fix the relationship that we got rid of. And I want to talk a little bit about that today. And some of you's like, no, that dude went south and there ain't no fixing it. But there was. Because how does it work that somebody that you loved, that you just could not get enough of it, I mean, it just oozed all out of you. I mean, to watch you, I wanted to go, Bleh. And there's a few of you here. Mandy and Kevin's one of them. Anyway, I was preaching, and Kevin had to go to a ball game, and she escorts him outside and gives him a big smooch. I'm like, what are you doing? Say goodbye. Let him walk out. But anyway. Dear Lord, I promise he'll be a good preacher one of these days. Anyway, why is it that we love somebody so much and we can't get enough? And Tracy and I, we talked on the phone for 4 hours. Now, if I get 20 minutes, I'm doing good. But why is it that we can go from just cannot get enough, have to get married quick or you're going to sin, and now you can't stand them? So good there's a black spot right there because I can't tell what's going on. We need another light right there for me, please. Why is it that easy? Why does it just, it works that way? I mean, somebody that you dated and you had to be with every day, you had to go eat with them, you had to know where they were, you were texting all through the day, and before you know it, you hate them with all your might. You cannot stand the very letters that their name is spelt with. Now, how is that? It's because of stuff that's in your heart that if you don't deal with it, there's going to be a number 2, a number 3, a number 4, and you'll never find happiness if you don't figure out what's in your heart and what keeps on bubbling up. I don't want to get too much into that. I mean, you go from can't get married soon enough to hating everything they're worth. If you were in love one time, how was you ever in love forever? You ever thought about that? How does it happen? Where does it come from? You'd rather go visit the jail than to talk to that person. I'd rather hurt you. You thought I was perfect. My guess is that if you were asked, each person that's filing divorce today or thinking about it, if you'd ever fall into love again, here's what you're probably going to hear. The answer would be, yeah, maybe, after some time. Now, why did you fall in love first, second, third? And it worked for a couple of years. And now you're thinking about doing it again after some time. And you didn't figure nothing out. So if you go into it again, what's going to happen is you're going to be going through number 4, number 5, number 6. Why can't we figure out it's not the other person? Now, if they hit on you, if they were verbally abusive to where you couldn't hardly do nothing, that's a different story. But I'm talking about 2 people that didn't hurt each other. You might have screamed and jumped up and down and hollered. You might have put holes in the wall, but you never touched anybody. How do you go from loving to hating? I can't figure that out. And I asked this question last week, and almost everybody here agreed with me and said yes, but is it possible to fall in love with someone and stay in love forever? I'm going to say yes. But I'm going to say I didn't figure that out Because I wasn't serving Jesus when Tracy and I got married. I owe the two people that's in this room today for the first time in a long time, I owe them my life for just allowing me to meet her in their garage. Remember I told you when she walked in the garage, I went, oh. But how did I go from falling in love and getting a divorce and saying I never wanted any kids, and I wasn't getting married ever again? They probably heard me say it. To a couple days later, her walking into the garage and going, man, if I could marry anybody in the world, it would be that one. How did I go from that? I had to mentally decide that I wasn't going down the same road that I come out of. Now, that doesn't mean that I didn't need Jesus. See, Jesus has been walking me through this road, and I thought I was good in doing my own thing, but he was prepping me for where I am today. I just didn't know it. You see, if I had had anybody else in the world, this Crosspointe wouldn't have worked. Because she has to put up with too much bad stuff. I mean, during Christmas time, you need to be sending her the gift cards, not me. Because she's the one that has to put up with all of it. She's the one that's got to be there when I leave and be dad for a couple days when I'm gone. And she does all that. When y'all call me and we go to have to go to the hospital or go see somebody or go talk to you or you're about to kill each other, I have to come sit in between you. She's the one that has to be okay with that. The woman, in my mind, is almost perfect. Because I go ballistic if she says she's coming home and don't make it right there, like on Friday night. She went to the grocery store, and I'm like, you didn't answer your phone. I didn't know what was going on. You could have wrecked your car. I was just in the grocery store getting food. I'm like, I'm okay, but just let me know. I mean, she says, when you coming home, Chris? I'll be there in an hour, and 5 hours later, I come dragging in the thing, and she's like, it's okay. Who else would do that? Not very many. But how do those relationships end up where they are? I had to make a decision that I wasn't acting or treating or living the way I did today. Because if I had moved into our relationship out of that one and not changed my heart, I would have been in the same position that I was in the 90s. What happened was I took one word out of my vocabulary, and this you need to write this down because you need to remember to never, ever breathe, think, say, even act like you're going to say this word. Don't ever say the word divorce. You might say, well, preach, sometimes when they act like they do, I'm like, I'm leaving. It's over. Well, why are you still there after 20 years? You lied to him for all these years. He never done what you said. If you want your mate to think the sun rises and sets on your head, you got to be different than the way you was brought up, the way you've lived, the way you think, and the way you act. Because if we love our husband and wives the way Christ called us to do, there would never be a divorce. And by the way, the church is the highest divorce rate in the country across the board. The ones that are trying to be disciples. I want to talk to the guys for a second. It's not enough, guys, for us to have brothers to hang out with and ride with. If you do that all the time, you're going to end up on the wrong side. It's not enough to have friends. I mean, we're all wired that we have to have that person. You know, that one person in the world. You know what I'm talking about? That one person that you can't live without. That's how we are. Jesus made us to be relational. Like I said last week, I wouldn't be who I am without my best friend. Tracy completes my life. And I'm not trying to make you go, oh my word, he's going down that road again and this, ugh. I'm not trying to do that. I truly believe exactly what I'm telling you. I wouldn't be who I'm at, where I'm at, who I am without her. And many of you today don't let your other half know that they can't do life without you. I mean, it's not enough to say, hey, I told you I loved you when we got married, and if anything changes, I'll let you know. That doesn't work. She needs to know. He needs to know. There's another Chris in this room, and a Kelly, and they make me just, I try to learn off of them. Just every time they take a picture, every time you see them together, they're like they're walking around this world, and there ain't nobody but them two around. I'm like, I need to learn how to do that. My ADHD and ADD and DD or whatever gets in the way. I mean, I want to pay attention to Tracy. She's back here talking to me while we were doing song service. She's like, are you with me? Well, of course I am. Why wouldn't I be? No, you got that look. That means you're way off la-la land. I get that way. If somebody's talking around me and Tracy's talking to me, I want to hear everything she says, but before you know it, I'm tuned into the person behind me. I don't care if it's eavesdropping or whatever. And I won't even know what she said. I'm hoping that absolutely it's okay to say. Because if it ain't, I'm in trouble. But I want to be able to live life and be with her and the whole world be able to run right by me and me not worry about it. Because she's my one and only. She's that person to me. And I want to make sure that she knows that. I got in trouble this week. We buy whatever we want through the year, and we just really don't need nothing. And I mean, if I want another gun, I go get it, and she goes and does whatever she does, saves money, and you'll hear about what she bought the other day that kills me. But we don't need anything. So the other night I went. I had to go to Bass Pro, and so I went and bought her Christmas. I didn't buy hers at Bass Pro. I said I went and bought me something in Bass Pro. What's the matter with you guys? Come on. Everybody needs new hunting gear. Anyways. So when I went and bought hers, I brought it in and I packaged it up and I walk in, I put on there to Tracy from Santa. And I put it underneath the tree and she's like, what's that? It's a present. Why has it got my name on it? Because I love you. I thought we wasn't doing that this year. Babe, I can't go through Christmas without that. She's like, now great. I don't have the money to go buy you nothing, you know. I'm like, that doesn't matter. I mean, I buy what I want. I don't need to be surprised. You know, whatever. I'll give you the money. You go buy it, wrap it up, and we'll be good. I don't care. I'm on the wrong side of Christmas. I like to give. I could care less about getting something back. That's not. So anyways, I forgot where I was going. I know. Oh, so I don't know exactly when I told this story in the first service, but she went and got this stainless refrigerator. It's got the bottom drawer that shoves in, you know, the Mac Daddy of the refrigerators, I guess. I mean, the refrigerator that I had when we got married, it's still good, but she wanted a different one. Oh, it leaks. Well, other people are using it right today. Anyway, I'm always getting in trouble because I put thumbprints on it. You know, I get in trouble for all kinds of stuff. Thumbprints, coffee stains, jeans laid beside the bed, not picked up. I mean, she don't have to do a lot. But I mean, it'd be okay if she done that. But I get in trouble. And sometimes there's heated discussion about this, right? Real heated. But it always tends to turn into a laugh or a smile or something at the end of it. It's because we both know that we're not perfect, and we both know that there's things that drive one another crazy. I mean, enough that back in the day, it would have been a prime example of that word we said we're never going to say again. But I can't find anybody that loves me the way she does, and she can't find anybody the way that I love her, both of us together. So it works, and we figured out that it talks about it in the Bible. We're all relational people. We also talked about last week loving, the last probably month and a half, loving people like Christ loved you and I. And many of you might be sitting here today going, that ain't easy. It's not. You know, life would be easier if we didn't have people in it, right? Relationships would be easier if we didn't have people in them. Church would be easier if there was no people in it. I mean, nobody would pee on the floor in the bathroom if there wasn't people in it. I mean, come on. I won't even go into the story that I found by the gate 2 days ago. But anyway, that's for another story. I'll get in trouble like I did last week for telling y'all about babies, and I hadn't lived it down. But life would be easy if we were the only ones in it, because we wouldn't have to learn how to live with people. We wouldn't have to learn how to love people and put them first. Who likes to put your better half first all the time? I mean, be honest. There's probably a few that might here, but the rest of us are selfish in manner sometimes, right? We don't like to put people first. I mean, we put them first when we were dating, and we don't want to put them first now because, I mean, it's old hat, right? There's things that you've done in your relationship that you would think was okay. That's where I was going with the refrigerator. All that stuff, you know, leaving the clothes down, the coffee stains. I mean, the biggest one I do is if I drive her vehicle and I move the seat. That is a cardinal sin. And when I get out of it, I leave it right where it's at. And she loves me for it. But each one of us do aggravating things. But it's not easy. But it would be nice if everybody in this world, their heart was right and they loved people. Can you imagine what it would be like? I want you to think about this. If every relationship that you had been a part of your whole life was great and you never had any problems and never had any hurts, can you imagine that? I mean, Dad was everything you had. He was at everything you did at school. I mean, it didn't matter. You were there. Mom was there every time you was there. Mom had dinner on the table at 5 o'clock. Dad read the newspaper and drank Folgers coffee every night. And everyone loved each other. And Leave It to Beaver was your brother. Wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't it be amazing that when you walked in your door, whichever one of you get there first, that you're not worried about getting into an argument? This is just a little plug, ladies. When your husband's going to be coming home, don't bust him if he done something wrong right when he walks in the door. It seems to set the mood in the wrong direction. And guys, when you get home, even if you don't like what she fixes for dinner, eat it anyway. When she goes to bed, you can go to McDonald's. Life's just better that way. I've forgot that a couple times over the last month. It's not pretty. It hurts their feelings. If both of you come into the relationship perfect, it would be easy. But every one of us walk into a relationship with baggage. And with that baggage, we have scrapes and bruises and stuff that potentially ruins every relationship we walk into. And when you were growing up, maybe this was you, or maybe you're grown up and you did this in your life with your kids. You can remember Dad didn't come home sober much. Mom left in the car and she went to bingo and would stop to have a few drinks with the girls afterwards and left you in the car. Now, today that wouldn't happen. You'd be in jail. But it did back before. There might have been drugs involved growing up. There were guys in and out of Mom's house when Dad and Mom were fighting. You grew up wondering what real love looks like and never found it. You know, the biggest thing as dads we can screw up on, and I'm putting myself in the same boat, is if we had a little girl growing up, if you never validate that little girl, if you never show her that she's special, she'll go out looking for it in all the wrong places. That's what happens to a lot of our girls. So as a negative, in the romance of our lives, our hearts are all jacked up and our minds are tainted from our past relationships in life. Because we talked about love, right? We talked about growing up in life and somebody that loved you and poured into you. You wasn't worried about what the relationship with Jesus was like. You wasn't worried about what denomination they come from. They poured into your life, and you're the reason you are today. When we get into relationships, we mix all that stuff, that baggage that we got in our life, and we mix it all up with the love we think we have, it messes it all up. There were two people that got married. You might remember they were so careful with each other. Even if they made a mistake, they would look over it. If there was a problem, they handled it real gently, right? Kind of like you did when you were first married. If they bumped into somebody with the car, it was okay, right? Oh, if money can fix it, it ain't a problem. That's the way I grew up. Something happened, if money could fix it, it wasn't a problem. But one day, they bumped heads. After, the honeymoon has dwindled down. My honeymoon's never going to be over, so I don't even want to talk about that. It dwindling down. But it started going down for this couple, and they bumped heads. So what was in Junior come out, and Miss Junior couldn't believe it, that it come out of Junior's mouth. I've seen it happen. Newlyweds, enjoying life. 6 months into the relationship, she does something wrong and he flat blows his top. She's like, we dated for 2 years and that never happened. What's going on? Whatever's in your heart is going to come out. And if there's stuff in there, there's anger issues, it's going to come out. They start telling each other time after time, you wouldn't have done this when we were dating. If it comes out of your mouth, you're full of it inside. You guys want the truth? I'm going to tell you anyway. When a man and a woman take the ultimate commitment to each other and end up madder to each other than anyone they know, they start pointing fingers. Is it because she brings out all the angry stuff and gets on his nerves? No. It's really because all that stuff was inside him before they ever started dating. I want to tell you just a little side note. Don't missionary date. If you got a relationship with Jesus and you're coming to church all the time, don't go find somebody that doesn't have one. Because 99% of the time, if you date somebody that doesn't have a relationship with Jesus, they're going to drag you down and you're going to do stuff you never thought you'd do. You're going to turn around one day and say, what happened to my relationship? That's the way it mostly happens. I don't encourage missionary dating. But if it wasn't inside of Junior and Mrs. Junior, it wouldn't splash out when they locked horns. We all have baggage inside. We blame the stuff that comes out of our mouths on the very person we are in love with. You ever wondered that? The person that you love the most and that you're excited to be around, all too often gets blamed for the way you act. It's amazing what romantic relationships brings out of us. So today's big question is, what do you do? Well, first thing you have to do is be aware of what's going inside of you. You ever thought about watching your heart? I want to look at Proverbs. Jesus said the same thing that they did in Proverbs in Matthew 15 with a few illustrations. But in Proverbs, Solomon, he said, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Now, why would Solomon start out this way? He's saying, above all else, what he's saying is this is the most important thing that I've ever said before. Now, remember, he's talked about a lot of stuff, okay? Solomon has talked about a lot of stuff. He's talked about money, because Solomon was rich and he was brilliant. He talked about relationships. He's talked about work, how you're supposed to work. I don't want to get too far on this, but if you're 16 years old, you need to get a job. If you're 20 and still living with mom and dad, there's a problem. If you play video games more than 30 minutes a week, you got an addiction that needs dealt with. I don't know who I'm talking about, or two, but there's a lot of 20-plus-year-old guys that stay at home and play video games, and it's just downright sickening. I'm just saying. If you was raised at my house, that video game controller might end up somewhere you don't want it. I'm just saying. My dad wouldn't put up with it. Solomon also talked about in the Songs of Solomon about sex. Ecclesiastes is all about becoming seasoned. Solomon talked about a lot of stuff. And if you don't get anything else I say today, you have to guard your heart. You have to allow Jesus to help you guard your heart. Because if you don't watch it, all that stuff that gets said, and it will start coming out. The writer of Solomon, or Proverbs, was Solomon. The very muscle that all your emotions come from is your heart. Almost every one of us went down the road. If we were asked what you do to guard your heart, you would probably look at me and go, I don't know, what do you do? Have you ever thought about guarding your heart? Have you ever thought about watching what gets internalized in your life? You know, I never thought too much about that until we started the church. And if you start a biker church in a Connorsville and there's not another one like it, you're going to end up on topics, okay? And people's going to be too wimpy to put their name on it. And they're going to say a bunch of mean stuff that I don't listen to. But I was very popular when we started. Maybe now I ain't looked at it. But when we started the church, there was people saying all kinds of stuff. I'm selling dope on 35th Street. I don't even never been on 35th, I don't think. I even sold it to people in the church. If you took my medicine, you wouldn't go to the bathroom for a year. Just saying. Yes, I said that, Mom. I'm sorry. But what I'm saying is you got to guard your heart. Not that you got to push those people out, but you got to let that not hurt you. Because you know where I get the definition of Chris from? Jesus Christ. And I don't think there's anybody on earth that can fill that role. I'm not saying it didn't bother me, because it's really hard for people to say mean stuff to you when you didn't do it. But I couldn't crawl into a hole. I've had people come right into this building and not like me, but I still had to preach. You can't let somebody dictate who you are. You can't feel that heart full of a bunch of stuff that one of these days when you get a romantic relationship, it's going to come out because of the things you expected. The stuff that is inside of you comes out in the relationships that is most important to you. You may have blamed it on the other person, but when you went to another relationship, it started coming out 2, 3, 4 times later. You couldn't continue to blame it on the other person. Every relationship you have with a woman, guys, don't have the same issue. If you've had 1 or 2 or 3 and it's still happening, it's not the other person. You got to realize that. This is why you got to guard your heart. You ever heard about watching other people's behavior? Anybody here watch other people's behavior? Don't too many will raise your hand because I'm not done talking yet. You know how easy it is for us to watch other people and tell them what they need to do when our own life has worse stuff in it? You know, it's real easy to look over and go, you know what? They ain't going to make it. You can't do that in a relationship. Your husband or wife comes home and you start screaming at her. It's like, yours ain't either, brother. We're so easy to look at somebody else and go, they ain't got it. I don't even think they know who Jesus is. And you walk out of the house and you flip this switch to where you turn into Satan himself. But man, you're worried about somebody else? It's very funny that people think they got it figured out when they've never been there. It got awful quiet in here. How come we think that we can watch other people and tell them where they're going wrong, what they're doing in life is wrong, when we can't even keep our own house straight? And usually you can watch a lot of people that way. Usually that's the way it happens. They're very quick to say something about somebody else's children when their children are worse than anything going. That didn't go over so well. Same with husband and wives. Man, I wouldn't be married to him to save your neck if I got treated that way, and yours is treating you 10 times worse. It must be just something that we live with. I mean, because everyone does it. I love to go to the mall and watch people walk around. If that was my daughter, she wouldn't be caught out of the house wearing that. You do a lot of talking to yourself. When you answer, it's really bad. I know, I wouldn't, there ain't no way. I'm glad you agree with me. There might be something wrong with you. You might need some meds. Start answering yourself. But everyone is good at watching other people's behavior. Telling them how to do it, what to do, what to say, what not to say. When we're horrible about monitoring our own heart. The very thing sometimes that we tell other people to do is the very thing that makes our hearts go crazy, and we regurgitate all that stuff when we get put in the same position. It's real easy to tell somebody to stand up and be strong, when the reality is that's something we deal with our own. Listen, every one of us know how we want to feel in a relationship, and this is where we all go wrong, and I wish that clock could slow down just a little bit. Every one of us know how we want to feel in a relationship, and this is why relationships go south, because you felt this way when the relationship first started, and now you're not feeling that anymore. You're not feeling like you're loved and the most important thing and all that stuff. But everybody wants to feel loved, right? That's all we're looking for. In the wrong places. Anyway. Or special. How many of you want to feel special in your relationship? Or respected? Or to be taken care of? Because you fell in love, you love the way that him or her made you feel. You remember those? I can remember when Tracy and I first got together. I had an excavating business, and every once in a while there'll be a couple $1,000s in my hand. I was the world's worst at taking that and spending it on her. She probably seen right through me. You ain't got that money. Now you're going to pay that next week. We try to be somebody we're not. When all we want is to feel those things when we have a relationship. And over time, the very one that you want to treat you like that, then they start letting go and letting it slide. And before you know it, you're like, I want out. I want a divorce. No, what you need to do is learn how to treat your husband or wife like you always did. That'll never go away. And most of us it's awful quiet in here. I hope y'all will come back next week. I do love you. Most of us were drawn in by emotion, how they made you feel, right? My wife had a list a mile long why she wasn't going to go out with me. That worked, didn't it? It's all Aaron's fault. But anyway, you end up hurting those emotions like a cow, and you feel a certain way. So where we mess up is we end up depending on that special person to make us feel special and loved and confident. That's why when relationships fail, that's why you see people go commit suicide. You see ladies go and feel like they're not worth nothing. That's why you got all this emotional wreck, is because people depend on one person to make them feel a certain way. Did you know I'm going to be happy when I wake up every day, whether Tracy's happy or not? And it's not against her. It's just how you have to be. You have to guard that heart. You can't let other people be the dictator on whether you're happy or sad. And many of us sitting right here, that's the problem. Because you worry about how somebody else acts. If I worried about how everybody else acted in my life, my emotions would be like a roller coaster, and I would be an emotional wreck. I'll close this morning. I got 50 other things to say. It boils down to this. Your ability to feel certain things hinges on one thing. And I want you to write that one thing down. And that one thing is the condition of your heart. Your relationships in life boil down to one thing: the condition of your heart. Your ability to stay in love has as much to do with the condition of your heart as it does with the behavior of your spouse or whoever you're with today. The ability to have the wow factor, that sense of wow that makes you feel good, Your ability to stay in love has as much to do with the condition of your heart as it does with the behavior of your spouse. But we automatically monitor their behavior. But we forget about monitoring our heart. We bring things into the relationship. You got to remember that there's no amount of commitment that'll keep you together. Their behavior and the condition of your heart is what makes you want to get a divorce. Their behavior and the condition of your heart is what makes you want to be done in a relationship. And the last thing that Solomon said is something that we need to post and put on our speedometer, on our car or our motorcycle, because we really don't pay attention to how fast we're going anyway. But you need to put on there Proverbs 4:23. The very last part of it says, for everything you do flows from it. And the most important thing you could probably write down all day. What is in you is going to come out of you regardless of who you're with. It's a heart thing. The only person that can fix your heart is Jesus. The only reason that Tracy and I have a great relationship is Jesus. The only reason that we're ever going to be able to live together forever is Jesus. The only person that's going to ever remind me or check my heart, you're being a little bit mean, or you shouldn't say that, or you can't do that, or why don't you go do this sweet thing for her? The only person that dictates that is Jesus. You see, without the Holy Spirit in your life, helping you live your life pleasing to Jesus, how to have a relationship with your children, with your husband or wife, with your family, is the condition of your heart. If I could get everybody to bow their heads. I want to ask you this morning, how is your heart? How is the condition of it? Where are you at this morning with your heart? You know, when your heart is not healthy, it affects every relationship you're in. And if your heart isn't healthy and you're fixing to maybe go do another relationship, you're fixing to seal the deal. If you don't have a healthy heart, it's not going to make it. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're in a relationship where you are not married, it will not last. Because ladies, you will never have security if you don't have that ring on your finger. And you physically can't live in a relationship where you don't have that sealed deal. God didn't make it that way. He made it so that you'd be taken care of. And I'm not talking about money. I'm not talking about earthly things. I'm talking about relationships that Jesus is in the middle of. God did not design us to just live together. I've been there. I've done that. It don't work. I have to look at my daughter in the eyes daily, knowing that me and Mom didn't do exactly what we should have. I have to look at my daughter daily and say, babe, alcohol will not cut it. There's nothing good that comes from a beer. Because I couldn't handle it. And I want to protect her. Guys, if you're Maybe you don't have kids yet. Straighten your act up so you don't have to look them in the eyes. Straighten your act up so you don't have to let them see the baggage that you bring in. Because that baggage will hurt them. My baggage in my life has hurt my daughter more than I want to even think about. You know why? Because of choices. And it was the choices that should have stripped me of everything that God was trying to do in my life. The choices that an uncle who was a preacher and a wife at the time that was the daughter of a pastor. And just not too long ago, I was released of some guilt that I was carrying along. Not saying it didn't hurt. But the 3 kids that relationship produced, and what we thought was right, I found out that I didn't have any of the 3. They were part of that relationship that I didn't like. You know, the devil tried to take that right there and ruin me. The devil tried to take that right there and get me to say that I don't believe in Jesus. He wouldn't do this to somebody he loved. But God protected my heart so that my relationship with my wife and my one and only biological daughter, Hunter Brooke, He saved that. And I could have let it all go. I don't know where you are this morning. I don't know if you have a relationship with Jesus. I don't know that you have a relationship that's struggling. I don't know that you got baggage that's just tearing your insides out. But I want to tell you this morning, there's a place that you can go. There's a person you can talk to that can fix every bit of that today. He can take your heart and make it new. He can clean all that stuff out. But part of it is on your shoulders. You have to take ownership of that stuff that comes out of you when you and your better half argue. There's things that's happened to people right here in this room that I probably don't know about that has ruined your life. You can give it away today. You can leave it down here and let God fix you. Before I pray, maybe there's somebody here today that say, "Preach, I don't have a relationship with Jesus, but I want one." I'm not going to come get you. I'm not going to embarrass you, but I want to pray with you. Just by raise of hands, would there be anybody today that say, "Preach, I want a relationship with you, with Jesus today"? Anybody? Just by a quick raise of hands. Dear Heavenly Father, as we come to you today, God, I know that there's at least probably one person that doesn't have a relationship with you. But God, just as I said, we're not pushing nothing on anybody. But God, I know that there's relationship problems and there's hearts that are hurting this morning. And God, I know somebody that can fix it right now. And his name is Jesus. And Lord, I just ask, as we open up this front and the band plays, if there is somebody here that doesn't know you today, that they'd come down and let us know. If there's somebody here today that is having those relationship issues and they want to cleanse their heart, God, you're here. Lord, I ask, as they come, that you would fix their heart. The altar, guys, ladies would come down.
Are you hurting and broken within, overwhelmed by the weight of your sin? Jesus is calling. Have you come to the end of yourself? Do you thirst for a drink from the well? Jesus is calling. Leave behind your regrets and mistakes. Come today, there's no reason to wait. Jesus is calling. Bring your sorrows and trade them for joy. From the ashes, a new life is born. Jesus is calling. What a Savior, isn't He wonderful? Sing hallelujah, Christ is risen. Bow down before Him, for He is Lord. Sing hallelujah, Christ is risen. Yes, He has. Oh, what a Savior, isn't He wonderful? Sing hallelujah, Christ is risen. Bear your cross as you wait for the crown. Tell the world of the treasure you found. Jesus is calling. Jesus is calling.
Dear Heavenly Father, as we come to you today, God, I just ask if there be somebody here that has that heart problem. God, that you would just help them see that you can fix it. Lord, I pray that you would be with each and every family here today through this Christmas season. God, as we celebrate your birth, God, I just thank you for your word. I thank you for what it means to me. And God, I ask that you help me in the areas that I am lax and need help. We ask these things in your name. Amen. If I get you guys to be seated real quick. Yeah, go ahead. You guys turn. There you go.
Is it on? Okay. Hey, after we get done with service, I want everybody to go up and get your kids, if you would, and then just bring them back in here. And then after we get everything ready up there, we're going to go ahead and take them up there. They got about, I think, 700 pieces of pizza up there they made. So we got plenty of pizza. And then after they get done eating, I want everybody to just stay up there. We're going to do it a little different. Just, clean up your mess and everything like that and stuff. And then we're going to got a special guest coming in. And then he's going to come down here. And Jeremy will be down here taking pictures of all the kids that sit on the lap and stuff. If you could give him a couple dollars for he can go get the pictures developed and stuff, he'll get them all developed for us. And then they'll be in the back there here in about a week or so. So everybody will have a picture of their kid with Santa Claus. And then if they don't want to come down and see Santa Claus, they don't have to. We're going to hand the gifts off up there. We got them all and got different tables set up and got age groups. So just take them up there, like I say, whenever we get ready to do that, all right? But like I say, just go get everybody, bring them back down here, and then we'll go back up there and eat some pizza and then just have them sit around up there. Then I'll let you know what's going on, all right? Great, thank you.
All righty, don't forget that we're going to the Creation Museum this coming Saturday. I think it's meet here at 3 o'clock. Also, we got, hang on, we'll be going just a second. We got New Year's party here, and we're also doing a Christmas Eve service. So you guys, it's all on our Facebook page. So you guys come and enjoy that. We're going to have communion, and Kyle's going to lead us to the throne with some of his singing and just kind of get to fellowship. So you guys come and be a part of that, and we'll usher in the new year. If you come prepared to give in the back, we don't pass the plate. There's a saddlebag that you can give, or there's a kiosk in the corner over there that you, if you didn't bring cash. So let's go to the Lord in prayer. Yep. We already did. We can tell, yep. He didn't learn nothing in church today, did he? Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Yes, sir. Yes. Trying to get his heart back in rhythm. They've shocked it a couple times. I don't know if they've decided they're going to try a pill as of yesterday, I think. So we need to come just remember George. Church ain't church without George there talking. Service ain't. I didn't have nobody to talk to today. But let's go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, as we come to you today, God, I just thank you for this group. I thank you for what you've done here at Crosspointe. God, I pray right now that you would be with George as he's up in the hospital. God, be with Lynn as she's weak today. Lord, just touch her body. God, we just ask that you'd be with each and every person that is hurting today, or maybe in the hospital, that you would just reach down and touch their life. In your name we pray. Amen.